So, Mandian Astral Oracles, wishing you a happy solstice. Good to be with you guys, and I'm looking forward to this one and celebrating the solstice with you and Quanta. And I was also I actually didn't expect that they would win the poll we had, and thank you for voting. So I'm excited to see what they'll say about the axis of light, the title they gave me. And I also want to thank Tony Veritas for your recent generosity. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who signed up on Patreon too, and everyone for being here and liking, sharing, subbing, and commenting. So thank you for that, guys, and you have a good one out there, and enjoy your time with the Quanta. Much love to you. Straight from the core of being into every expanse of creation, we have our influence and our existence. We uphold these holy laws of being, transmitting our unending love from entrance to exit. We, the Quanta, the Holy Ghost, the Divine Spirit, we join you this day with blessings and love. And so we have entitled this transmission, The Axis of Light. And so what do we mean by this message? Well, partially we are speaking or reminding you of this place within your center that you can go to, this sacred tree that grows within your center, the axis within you, the sacred spine that channels light. All cosmic energy is mirrored and centered in its flow within this holy axis. But an axis also consists of 3 points that make up a structure. And well, therefore, we would like to present to you a secret about the structure of reality. As most secrets, this is obvious. This is hidden in plain sight. It's obvious to the discerning eye, but we will bring it forward using this medium of words and energy that we come through in communication with you today. And so these 3 points, they are space, time, and energy. You know these 3 dimensions well. You have a hard time grasping them because they are present in everything that you perceive. But notice that this is the expanse of being, the space. It is filled up with points of progress, a process, the time. And well, what is it that is progressing, molding, changing? It is the energy within it. And so, seeing as you are an image of this holy axis, this axis of light, light being information, the substance of all things, light being the visible transmission of energy or source code from one point within and from one point to another within creation. These are the holy perspectives, then the holy forces that uphold your existence as well. The spaciousness within your being, both within and without, the spaciousness of your body, your mind, and your infinite soul. The temporal process of you, this body, mind, and infinite soul revealing itself in time, well, as a body that grows old and ages, as a mind that sharpens and hones itself, as a spirit that discovers its own nature through the interaction with these other dimensions. And it is through the interaction of these other dimensions that the energy becomes diffused. It is through this that the energy becomes so differentiated that it can actually exist and begin to create. Energy without these expanses is nothing, because energy can only be perceived within the expanses of your experience, that is you as a temporal and a spatial being. And so in these times where you are facing trouble, in these times where the visible light may be lacking in your life, the sun being low on the horizon as you see it from the northern part of your globe, in these times you may ask yourself, what do I need to give more space? What do I need to give more time? And what do I need to give more energy? By admixing, composing these three basic elements of any given problem, any given phenomenon within you, you begin to address it with the appropriate attitude of spaciousness, patience, and effort. These are all very helpful as you move into this year of 2022 that will see you confronted with reality in a whole new way. And when we say confrontation, we mean this as juxtapositional energies. The fact that you will find that the work that you have been doing will be asked to then engage itself with the world. And this is the conflict or the dance that will play out as you move forwards into this new astronomical cycle where light is changing again. Therefore, our love, blessings, and gratitude to you from the highest heavens and down into this space that we create together. Peace.
Much gratitude for the message, Quanta.
Thank you, Laura. We are grateful for your presence here today.
Our friend Mark would like to ask a question of you.
Yes, thank you.
Hi there, Quanta, Holy Ghost.
Hi there, Mark. It is good to be with you, dear one.
Thank you. With all the wild energies coming in, I've been feeling really good and really happy, except for one thing, and that's what I wish to ask about. I am waiting on a parcel from India to complete my healing modality. I feel like it's gone lost, but if I use my pendulum and douse to my higher self, it says it's good energy around the package and I will receive it. I can also douse to my girlfriend, who's also a channeler, and her higher self agrees that it's got good energy and I should receive it. But it's getting on my nerves every day a little bit. So I want a third opinion, if you could look into that parcel and see what you see about where it's gone to.
Yes, well, we will both, well, first off, we will affirm what you yourself have been both dowsing and perceiving and what your girlfriend has also been receiving. That is, we sense positive energy around this package. And then notice again how this is actually, well, also helping you to realize what is positive around the package. So you gave us the lovely introduction that everything was going good except this thing. And this is sort of the element of voluntary anticipation you have introduced into your life. So it's much like a Christmas present, as we are also coming up on this season, something that you can actually be a little nervous about, well, looking forward to receiving. And therefore we sense positivity around this. But we will also say that notice as you build your, let's say, energy work or your attunement to the subtle frequencies and qualities of these healing modalities, for instance, then smaller imbalances will also begin to seem greater because you are picking it up on a much more nuanced backdrop. And so, for instance, we are relaying the fairy tale of, we are not sure, but do believe that it may also be called The Princess on the Pea in English. And of course, the theme of this is that to test this girl who comes to a castle, they stack underneath a giant layer of mattresses a slight pea And then she complains that she hadn't gotten any proper sleep last night because there was this pea making her position uncomfortable. And that is how you tell a true princess, is then the slightly ironic point of the fairy tale. But it's this idea of the nobility of spirit. Let's say that the princess, this high priestess archetype, it's also something that you are aligning with in this healing work. And therefore, you may also feel that this kind of pebble in the shoe is actually something that's also augmenting, well, the minute or very fine qualities that you have developed within this. So with that fairy tale cheer and good, well, Christmas tidings, we will thank you and transmit our love to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Carla asks, I have been feeling my grandfather Carl around me a lot lately. I even found a painting of his for sale in an online auction in the next morning. I have been intensely wishing I could get another one of his paintings. I was looking the night before at a photo of one that I wished I could have. This one came up in an auction, is similar. I'm very excited. He is around my mother too, who is struggling with her latest stroke. She lives with me. Does he have any messages for me or my mom? Thank you and blessings.
Blessings to you too, dear one. And we transmit that from your grandfather as well. We would like to transmit the universal message around, well, the attitude of your deceased loved ones towards you. And it's always an attitude of great benevolence. That is, they have merged into the light. And so when they communicate back to you, that is not the ghostly imprints of, let's say, static or unfortunate energy that's stuck where you might get these haunted situations, but rather when you feel like the presence of an ancestor is around you or a deceased loved one is somehow reaching back to you, they're doing so with love. They're doing so because they would like to somehow offer a vibe that emotionally rectifies some of the imbalances that they may also have left you with. And that is, notice, even, well, even children from the happiest of homes still cry. That is to say, there is an element of grief and dysfunction, imbalance in life, you could say, that is very manifest in family relationships. And so what these ancestral spirits and what your grandfather is reaching back to you to do is to alleviate that by making himself also a loving, fond memory and positive energetic signature within you. So the energy that's still alive of him within you and within your mother is very much helping to, well, let's say, heal the rifts that also exist between your mother and you, which can be perceived as something that you have inherited from his ancestral line. And so what he's wanting you to connect with also regarding the paintings is this, say, creative or joyful spirit, this spirit where you also, let's say, for the heck of it, actually take time away from the worries of life to paint a picture, to go out and play around with colors and canvas, and of course you may have other preferred practices, but it's really this impulse within you, and that you may also seem a little lacking within your mother at present, because she's struggling with a lot of things. So what you can both do, and you may want to do this separately to some degree, but is to actually explore these more, well, cut and paste hobby-like based projects of, if not painting, then sculpting, molding, pottery, different things. But we do sense that some sort of hands-on approach, this type of giving shape to something that you may enjoy, and also adding an aesthetic quality or a quality of beauty to, that's really what he's reaching back for you to say. And there he's also just transmitting his love. And well, all grandchildren, all his grandchildren were his favorite grandchildren, but you were still his favorite. That's what we're getting also. So love to you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then Sophia, let me get back up to her question. Sorry, one moment.
Oh, we are in no rush. We are transmitting love, light, and blessings as these light grids around you. They also shift and alter in these times of change.
And they are gratefully received. Sophia asks, how do humans heal from hidden collective trauma, such as atrocities committed and denied through ignorance or cover-up? If you have time for another question, so we'll start there.
Yes, because this is a big one indeed. Speaking of collective trauma, and well, what you do is, well, it is because the mind that is translating us is asking for a moment to structure the very complex message that he is receiving on this. But we will use, well, we were speaking of these dimensions, the axis of light, knowing that light is a force that dissolves everything. You even notice in, for instance, your botanical endeavors that, well, too much light might actually kill a plant. Some plants, well, they may also need an adjusted degree of nourishment, or they may actually prefer the shade. And so that is to say here again, the element of, well, partially placing these things within their proper context. That is why studying, for instance, atrocities or the motivations and collective sentiments that lie behind them, the frenzies that are whipped up in certain cultures when they find themselves at a crisis point, that they turn to outwards aggression. It's very helpful then to say this is the spatial dimension and study it from that point. We could say the temporal dimension is also to understand that time does heal all wounds. So you may, for instance, let's take an example, notice that, well, there are probably not any people alive on the Iberian Peninsula today who's traumatized by the Visigothic invasions or the Arab conquests or the reconquest, but there are probably still people alive who are traumatized, either, well, the people who are traumatized directly by the civil war are few, but the people who are indirectly traumatized, there is still a painful legacy alive. But there is also, well, the recognition that when this process has sort of been released and understood and is able to be discussed, it will be healed within generations of time. And there we can say this is the temporal dimension. This is the dimension of waiting, simply, that you realize from your own personal work, when you sit down with your emotions, you are aware of this, yet it is so painful for you to do that. Well, the most general advice when people seek to heal hurt from the past is to sit with it, because it will pass. And this is the element of time that you can add to any problem. Then the element of energy. Well, here you then examine, what are these intentions? How are they still alive within me as an individual? How is this still a code that's somehow activated? And by being attentive to that, you notice, for instance, where you may want to stop yourself. So this is, for instance, let us point to the nation of Germany. this is a nation that has also developed through a high degree of, let's say, collective shame over past misdeeds. Also, the idea that mass movements in general are very dangerous, and that you should try to, well, remain very skeptical of whenever the majority in any society wholeheartedly agrees on any type of action that needs to be taken. So here's also the idea that when you realize that a lot of these things, these traumas, these problems, these attitudes, this forcefulness, this willingness to achieve and act in many ways is still active within you, then you also offer the antidote of solace, of peace, of renunciation to some degree of all these violent impulses. And simply by stepping back from them, you transform them into something that serves a more conscious effort. So this is actually how you can go about it individually, but collective structures, you can only really change them by beginning to adjust your own attitude and way of being present and showing up. It is a great question, and therefore we also, well, we offer you the advice to acknowledge both in great and small how these conflicts are actually being healed to a great extent. So there is a greater brotherhood of nations, for instance, taking place, a greater solidarity between peoples that's paving the way for a more global awareness of you as a species. There is also the element, as it will appear as these questions come forward, that you have sent beforehand, that, well, there is just a lot of ancestral wounds being healed at the moment. And so therefore you may sense that these collective hurts, that they're really flaring up because they want to be seen, and maybe not in as positive a way as Carla's grandfather, who's present in a, let's say, a more creative and inspiring way. But everything is on track, and this is a positive timeline that we are finding ourselves speaking into. Our love to you, to all of you, for this question, our assurance of healing of past wounds and hurts for you as individuals, as spirits, and as members of a species.
Much gratitude for that, Quanta. Our friend Suzanne asks, Dear Quanta, thank you for sharing your energy with us. I wondered if you could tell me why my grandfather dropped his diary in front of me. The diary includes him meeting my grandmother. He was a healer through kindness and also experienced trauma in World War I. The message seemed bound in his humor and love.
Yes. Again, it is wonderful that these things sync up, isn't it? Notice again what's happening here, and which is essentially the purpose of, we could say, any type of gathering of hearts, is that you are also assuring each other that you are experiencing things that are meaningful in the grander scheme of things. And when you see that, well, it is not only your grandfather, but other grandfathers, other grandparents that are reaching out at this moment, you may also intuit what it is that he seeks for you to do, because he is also wanting you to heal these ancestral wounds. And, well, the antidote that he's offering, you yourself, you are attentive to it. It's the love and the humor, because you also have this in spades, and you have experienced, well, a lot of you have experienced in general these past years that, well, lightheartedness has also been a little under pressure. Like there are grave atmospheres in the collective, and you may also have sensed that your work life has built up with a level of pressure that it has been unwelcome. And so notice he was in World War I, for instance. It is fair to say perhaps that this is some of the worst hellscapes that have ever been created within this vibrational spectrum of human existence. You would be hard pressed to imagine a worse place to be than in the trenches of the Western Front or in the First World War. And so notice also what he's offering here is a kind of contrast or comparison, that he was actually able to cultivate love and humor. So this diary is also, it's offering you its secrets of let's say attitude adjustment, and we mean this positively, but truly as an inspiration, where when you connect to someone who's near and dear to your heart and truly is alive, literally physically in your DNA, as his genetics live on in you, then you also really have the opportunity to align with their energy and take in their wisdom and use this for the good of the singularity that is your personal healing, and thereby also for the good of the plurality that is the collective healing. And so we also send you love from your grandfather, and we bless you and your family in these times of troubling changes, seeing also new experiments and new ways of living ahead for you in the coming decade. Our love.
Much gratitude. And Kevin asks, a few days ago, my grandmother on my mom's side had a psychotic breakdown. She lives in a nursing home for the elderly. She exhibited confusion, hallucinations, anger, and even throwing herself on the floor. She was quickly admitted to a psychiatric hospital where they discovered her levels of sodium were low, which they brought into balance, and also changed some of her other medications. She was just released from the hospital to go back into the nursing home. Can you please go into more depth of this situation, including what was the catalyst and what is going on? There's a little bit more to it with her at a higher level.
We are very happy to do so. We transmit healing also to your generational line and to your grandmother in this difficult situation or experience that she has had. Well, partially, as they also detected some of these symptoms were exacerbated by the lack of nutrients and general imbalances within her physical constitution. So much of this can be healed by proper hydration and other things. But as you may also have noticed, and as the body that we are speaking through also knew from his own grandparents, there also comes a stage when they reach this type of, well, let's say super maturity, where the physical structure also begins to disconnect from this realm. And of course, from our perspective, this is as natural as the leaves falling off in autumn and then returning in the spring. But to the individual and to people who are attached to this individual, it can be very painful to watch, and of course also realize how well your grandmother is unable to take care of herself. And so the spiritual side of it, or the higher level, what we can say is that your grandmother has the energy of a wounded healer who hasn't healed. So she has simply been wounded. So many of these openings, and this is what you will come across in many individuals you would come across in your psychiatric wards would, for instance, display this, that they have made the openings, but they have not passed through the fire that has seared them shut again. So it's these open wounds, and this has made her vulnerable to a lot of diffuse influxes. And then when your mind grows a bit frailer, let's say, or less active, it becomes less able to sort the impulses it's receiving. And so what she's in many ways experiencing can be described as a shamanic crisis. And this is actually the argument for why you need to work with, we are perhaps preaching to the choir here, but work with these energies, these other realms, with yourself as a spiritual being as well before you die. It's because you have to go through this transitional phase. And it's a really, really poor time to do it when you don't have your faculties about you, as you don't have when you have reached old age and you are already in a retirement home, which of course could be construed as a hospice for people who will die of yet unknown causes. But that's to say that she's already in a space where her spirit is really struggling to get free from her body, and her body is just in many ways flapping about. So it's that of her soul sort of diving back into the ocean and then leaving the fish heaving on land and flapping a little before it takes its last breaths. But notice again what's being offered here to you, we can say, is your ability to also integrate, which you have been quite good at. A lot of these, say, influxes, messages, highfalutin astral stuff, with actually being present and being a positive influence for people in your life, and staying conscientious with an open heart, and all these things. So your ancestral line is also being healed through that. And well, we offer love, healing, and blessings to you, your family, your grandmother.
Much gratitude. Chris asks, hello, Quanta. Thank you for the opportunity. I wonder if you could scan my dog and do some healing. He has several issues and he doesn't sleep well. He also spent the majority of last week in voluntary solitary confinement, mainly due to loud bangs from firecrackers. There seems to be no ban on fireworks this year, so could you please assist him during the coming weeks, or make him understand that he is safe? I really appreciate your help. Blessings.
Blessings to you too, dear one, and your little dog too. So we are playing around with this a little because, well, we were also speaking of, well, this phenomenon of someone passing, as comparing it to the withering and of the leaves as autumn passes. That is, your dog is also a dog, and we are very happy to offer him healing, but we can't really make him not a dog without changing the basic codes of reality. And to us, of course, seeing as we are present in writing the codes of reality, they are quite perfect as they are. So if we were to say, make him not experience the fireworks or be nervous around it, we would also take away the jittery pleasure of a dog, because notice the same nervousness, guardedness, watchfulness, alertness that comes forward in this, let's say, readiness to startle at the slightest sound, and certainly at loud bangs. Well, it's also the same readiness that overwhelms your dog when you're taking it for a walk and he finds a dirty old shoe or something that seems completely disgusting to you, but that's so filled with an intensity that, well, sets its whole being alight. And that's kind of the pleasure of being a dog. And the downside of being a dog is then that you are also living in a world where, well, human conditions aren't always ideal for your experience of what it means being a dog. So, and New Year's, of course, and if there are anyone joining in from other cultures, we are unaware if New Year's fireworks is a ubiquitous phenomenon around the globe, but it is this time of season also around this place where loud bangs will go off, and that is startling to a dog. It might also be startling to you. And so what we are sensing again around your dog is perhaps that, well, the more you address your own sense of well-being, the more he will relax. And he is he is a little frail, and physically he has some ailments, and those he will simply have to live with, we can say. But he will feel far more at ease, or the hypertension will slow down the more you slow down yourself and your own reaction. And this is not to put extra pressure on you, but it's simply to say that this is really what your nervous system is calling for, and this is also what your dog is calling for. It's that sense of a very anchored presence around it, because this will make it less startling. So use this as a positive springboard for you, seeing that when you improve or anchor yourself, you are also doing your beloved animal friend a favor. And much love and healing to you both.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And Steve has a question.
Yes.
Well, okay. Would you check in with his guide's highest self to see if there are any messages for him?
Yes, we're getting an image of a bell ringing, and it's like it's not like an alarm bell. It's more, like one of those small Christmas jingle bells, but it's going exceedingly fast, so almost so fast that it turns into this sound. And it's something with this high frequency. It's the idea that the angelic is presenting itself as something that's, well, if not tormenting, then at least an irritant. And this is really what they want you to know. It's to ease up on yourself, because you may really experience that so many of these very intense energetic symptoms you are having, and how they are, for instance, pushing up against blocks or tensions in your skull, and offering a cranial expansion, and sort of animating the pituitary. So this is all this high pitch ringing, and so it's simply to say, when this vibration is already in operation, then allow for it to be, and realize that it's natural that you should find this as somewhat troubling, but also that it will pass, we sense, with these coming months. And we actually sense that you will have entered a new stage around this, approximating the equinox that is 3 months from now. But there is the allowance, there is the element of patience again we are offering. So it's time that you need to offer to this, and in many ways also space, and then actually offer it less energy. So the more energy that you direct into, well, what may seem as trivial occupations, but what may be eating a cupcake, or watching a silly movie, or whatever is your preferred waste of time, this might actually be something that's very productive to you at the moment, because, well, the time cannot really be wasted. It's a constant, but sometimes you simply need to step back from your connection to the process, and then realize that the process is, you're actually, rather than being hurled down the stream, you're actually being carried in a vessel. You just need to sort of step back and find the steady drift there. So much love to you too, dear one, from us and your guides.
So much beautiful information. Thank you. And Essen, sorry, would like to ask a question of you now.
Hi, Quanta. It's great to be here with you today. I'm in the middle of a purge, but I'll try to speak as well. So first of all, I just want to thank you because the last stream I was going through a lot at school, and you just helped lift my spirits up, and it just gave me the optimism that I needed, and I was able to do well on all of my classes, thankfully.
We would also just like to extend our gratitude for you sharing this with us, because partially we know we have mirrored back to you the work you have done and how much you have shifted this year, but also the open-heartedness in you sharing this. We know that there are other individuals here that would very much like you to see you do well, and we are sensing that your energy is in a much more positive place now, where these trials have to a high degree also been climbed and surmounted. So blessings and love to you, dear Asen, for this.
Thank you. So I have been going through a bit of a difficult purge, and I feel like it's building up to something. I feel like a lot of the positive predictions that weren't able to come true at the time might be able to now, like meeting my twin flame or just receiving positive news about other stuff. Do you see that happening anytime soon?
Well, we do. We are, as we said before, we are actually sensing a great shift in your energy. This is, of course, also interesting, let us say, for the vessel that's translating us, because he is reading you with closed eyes, but he sensed that the gray clouds of despair that were gathered around you in the last interaction, for instance, they have dissipated, and it seems that there is a type of a rocky light. This is the image that we're getting. It's like something heavy, but yet luminous, that actually fills you up from below. And this is speaking to some type of connection to your main or central core of balance, like your root has been opened. And this, we sense, is, for instance, a prerequisite for the twin flame attraction, which we sense is a pattern being activated.
Thank you. It would be nice to have some positive stuff happen. Thank you for that.
Do you have anything else that you would like to ask us, or anything that we would be remiss in illuminating this day?
Sure. I guess I have been a bit hard on myself during break as well, because I feel like I need to do a lot to just map out my career, because I'm graduating soon. So do you feel like I need to keep pushing myself this way when it comes to that, or it's okay just to take a breather and relax for a bit?
Well, we are sensing that if you allow yourself to take the breather, this is definitely what you should do, because what is happening with that is that you are still, let's say, a little shell-shocked from the trials of, especially these past months. The latter half of 2021 has really been a huge and tumultuous period in your life, and therefore it's not really settling for you that you are actually graduating soon. And congratulations, because there's reason to celebrate this. And if you take the breather, if you allow yourself to just say, okay, I'll just put this aside for a moment, you'll notice that the impulse to do something about it will begin to crop up, but it will have a slightly different signature, where instead of feeling, okay, I also need to do this, because you're kind of in that fight mode, which is very productive, but also wears your system out if you do it for too long. And notice then that there's actually an impulse where you get excited about it instead, where you think, oh, I actually also wanted to examine this, or maybe I could have my life in this place, or maybe my career could take me there. And that's it's so you will essentially be doing the same things, but just from a a place of discovery rather than survival, let's say.
Thank you. I'll try to find that sweet spot and act on it. Thank you so much.
Love to you, and congratulations on the transformations and openings taking place in your life. Your hard work has paid off.
Thank you. It's definitely been hard. Thank you.
So happy for you, Austin. Essen.
Thank you.
And so our friend Veritas says, greetings, beloved Quanta. Thank you so much for connecting with us today. Quanta, could you bless everyone here with God's unconditional love, light, and protection in 2022? We love you. Namaste.
Sure thing, our friend. Love to you. So we are playing around with you because we are trying to also cultivate this hilarity of good cheer within the human experience. And so notice that this beautiful benediction, this healing gesture, this mudra, this handstands, it is also the bunny ears to some extent. So there might be something very healing in just, it would be funny, of course, it was another person, but you know, it's also the childlike spirit, the indomitable spirit, where it's really funny to make bunny ears on your older sister or something in the family photo, right? Because it's that idea that there's something that needs to be a little upset, but it's turning over the apple cart, but doing it from that perspective of, then I wonder if something is hiding underneath here. So you can really have fun with the discovery and the blessings. And so our deepest benedictions to you, human beings. We see you becoming what you were envisioned to be. We see the imprint of humanity, the crystalline diamond grid that is set around you and guarding you at all moments, becoming active in frequencies of a higher tune, a higher vibration, and a higher capacity. And we see that the love of the heavens is flooding in to this recreation and reconfiguration of you. And yet it is an organic growth. And so the flowers that you bring forward, they are yet to be seen in nature. And we look very much forward to seeing the unique growths and beautiful outcroppings that your lives will bring forward into infinity. Our love, blessings, and benediction, our peace to you this day.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Yana asks, what is the constriction feeling in my chest area? Is the old emotion leaving? Thank you.
Yes. Quite a lot of you may actually feel that this is a place that's quite present and producing problems such as palpitations or other impediments. So it's simply to say that this is the heart center being open, and this is the main physical upgrade that's taking place within many human beings at the moment, is an opening of the heart center. And so it's grief that's trying to leave your body, and what we can encourage you is to, well, laugh, cry, and dance. It's essentially this trifecta again, and we can say, you can say laughter is adding the spatial dimension. It's sort of giving things their proper place by also not taking them too seriously. We could say crying is giving things time, allowing them to pass through you, allowing the flow of emotions to go through you. And the dance is the energy that needs to be released, because many of you, not only you, dear Yana, but many of you are experiencing that these higher frequency energies, you're simply not used to them. And so they also manifest as, well, as pent-up hurts. That's how you experience this pressure. And so release into that and know that there is a love, a trust and expansion, awaiting for you. You have gone far already in this process. And so it is a sign that you are connecting to this grief, that it wants to be released. And so our love to you in this, dear one.
Much gratitude. And Zinzu asks, is there anything that my future self, the preferred one, most in alignment with my higher self, would like to share for me or all of us?
See, there's an interesting circle within this question, because the reason that the higher self has constructed your experience to flow this way is because your future self needs to be somewhat concealed for you. And this is, we don't mean to we don't mean to scold you as human beings, but it is kind of the cheat code that you are all looking for. It's how do I jump to a successful future without going through the problems of the present? And it's just, well, the successful future is shaped by the problems of the present. And this is really what that image of your future self wants you to know. It is that let's say the lack, or perhaps the lessonness of being that you may experience in comparison to that ideal version of you is also a springboard for you overcoming that, for integrating that, for moving into a place where you feel positive and in alignment with that. So it wants you, your future self wants you to trust the process, and your higher self wants you to know that you are exactly where you need to be, and that you are doing quite well. So we hope that that is, as general advice, quite helpful to you, because there is, of course, this element again of unwrapping the presence of time, simply discovering what it is you are, and doing so by finding yourself in different situations. So always in this present, moving into the future of a higher degree of fulfillment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I send you my deepest love and gratitude for the multitude of ways you're present in my own life.
Yes,
Yeah.
our deepest love to you as well, dear Laura. We would like to reflect that back to you, our gratitude for your presence.
And I've created a little ceremony for myself for the sealing of my energetic grid, and then also claiming alignment with love and unity consciousness and compassion, joy, peace, and abundance each day. But I've been wondering, is with sealing my energetic grid that way, where I've been an anchor for light, if I'm sealing my grid, am I still open for you and the angels always to be able to use for the highest good?
The human being asks us to tell you he is sorry that that his coughing interrupted the response, and yet this is in perfect timing as well. So many of these healing processes that take place within your bodies, they may actually feel like a little of an unpleasant expulsion. And so that's to say, what you are also bringing to us is actually that what you are fearing, to describe your problem in another way, is that when you are making these positive affirmations, sealing your grid, and making these expulsions of unwanted energy that you find are gradually filtering out of your life. So you may also sense that the karmic patterns that have had a denser hold for you, they are also releasing and shifting into in their character or in their nature. And this actually has to do with the influx of more of this angelic or divine light that we represent. And that is because, well, we are in harmony with all these things that you invoke. So indeed, we can say we express ourselves in all things, but when you connect to the aspects of us that are healing, kind, benevolent, angelic, wonderful, loving, then you are actually turning to this higher frequency grid. So there is actually a type of, we could say, readjustment of your radio transmitter receiver unit, to use that image, into, well, a more positive frequency band, which is also, well, to stay in the image, kind of like having an FM radio that goes up slightly higher than the radios they sell at the store, and that catches all kinds of secret stations with with very beautiful and harmonic music that not everybody can listen to, because it also requires some attunement to these higher frequencies. So this is what you are doing. So fear not or worry not that you are not accessible to our energies, because you do so much also in these manifestations, for instance, to give us the permission, or to give yourself the permission also to invite the energy in.
Beautiful. My gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. Our love.
And I just want to check in with Mads to see if you're up for a second round of questions from folks.
Yes, he's yes. Now it's me speaking. So yes, I am up for that, and bringing back the Quanta. Yes, he says we understand. He says he's happy with that. So
Okay, so we'll go back to Miss Sophia.
yes.
What health advice do you have for her father? He fell yesterday and lost consciousness briefly, although he seems all right now.
Yes. Well, it is that he should watch his step. And we know this is perhaps also sounds like, well, completely obvious advice, but you are all probably very aware of this from your own personal experience, that when you tend to, well, scold yourself in the kitchen, or bump your toe against something, or forget your keys, or fall over, or hurt yourself, or snag something on a doorknob, or it's usually because you're feeling a little ungrounded, that you are not quite present in where you are at. And your father is a worrier by nature, and worriers do have this tendency, well, partially because they then, in the sense, live in the future, and they move themselves out of this present. And this brings a quite ungrounded energy, because you are, instead of looking at where you're going, that is watching your step, you are instead looking at where you think you ought to be going, or where you should be by now. And so this is perhaps best brought to him in more in the idea of the encouragement of resignation to some degree, that is moving slower, worrying less, paying more attention to where he is immediately. And then we also sense that, well, these spells of dizziness that he may be experiencing, it has to do also with a slight tightness in his chest area. So he may actually want to try to it can often be difficult to get your parents to do things that you know are healthy for them in this stage in life. But he may actually want to try to breathe deep into the lungs, so trying to fill the bottom of the lungs. So almost like playing the game of how expansive can you make the balloon in its farthest end, and this is also what he would do well in addressing. So oxygenizing, so to speak, oxidizing, getting more oxygen in. And we transmit healing to him. We wish him the best, and we send love to you, him, and everybody in this.
Thank you. And there are actually a couple more from YouTube that I missed. Peng Soke says, hi, do my guides have any messages for me?
Yes. Well, we are getting the image for you of actually, it's in many ways the reverse advice of what we just gave. That is, try to stay a little above ground. We are getting an image of winged feet, or someone jumping a creek by sort of cultivating this airy energy. So what we are sensing is that you may actually look into running. That is movement. You're moving your body in rapid motions. Other types of sort of quick, fiery, airy, swift energy. That's what they would like you to cultivate. Maybe also looking into eating quite light meals, and nothing with too many heavy qualities in January. So that's actually the advice that they're sort of giving us in this moment, and asking us to transmit along with their love to you.
Thank you. And Jennifer Cabral, may I ask some clarification about what is the sensation on the left side of my back? How to bring healing to this location? Thank you, dear Mads and Quanta.
Yes, what we are sensing here is that this is an imprint in your energy body that has to do with, we don't necessarily mean to frighten you, but we do sense that there's actually, it's the quality of whipping, of beating, of torture, that's to some extent stored there, and this has built up over lifetimes. And how to reduce this is to, well, what we sense is that what you do by this is that you pour, this is almost witchcrafty, and it's coming from, where we are translating this from is from a layer of your higher self, that there is this, you could think of her as Hecate or Queen of the Night, but she's also in many ways the avenger of wronged women. So she's also connected to, we are unsure of how to, the Irini, or these vengeful female spirits or deities. And so the advice that they are transmitting these forces is that, well, to discover the powers of the night, that is partially, you may actually want to accept some periods of sleeplessness or restlessness, because there is something that's looking to be painful, that's looking to crop up in your consciousness and be seen, to be cried out, to be embraced out, so to speak, accepted. And then the other advice that we are getting here is that, well, you should produce a balm from local herbs, and it may be something you're cultivated in your garden, or something that you go to an area and pick something. And it might be of, we are partially not that aware of North American botany, but it might be of something that has a, let's say, slight stimulating quality of a rub-on quality. So something that sort of animates or brings fire to the skin, blood flow to the skin. And there, if you could, we sense that you have also, oh dear one, and we are sending you our love, that you have also collected some tears in these times. And so if you have a tear or two to spare for this bomb, then put it in and allow for this energy, for the healing energy of the tears, the sanctity of the lacrimose. Or we are getting these terms of really creating this circle of sort of feminine compassion within you. This is where we sense that the healing can take place. And so our deep love to you in this. Blessings.
Much gratitude. Thank you. And Kevin has one more question. Let me get back up to it. Quanta, could you speak about how we can now more fully access past life bleed-throughs, other aspects of ourselves in a positive way, and utilize them here and now for integration and positive growth?
Yes, it's an interesting question, and because we would almost separate it into that is, past life bleed-throughs are actually more the product, energetically speaking, of, well, not other aspects, but similar aspects of yourself. So when these happen, it is because there is a resonance or an activation code taking place where you are energetically, and it might be just as, a slight altercation or alteration in your own energetic code at the present, that is making this past life resonate. And when it does, it means that you are both being allowed the opportunity to shift timelines. Well, this is an image that, because you're constantly switching timelines, but that is that you get to be less determined by the karma of this past lifetimes in your present lifetime. And you can also, well, again, it's these elements, this of letting this be something that sets your experience, that lights up your experience. And that is, again, these elements of, well, adding spaciousness to it. So really letting it unfold, seeing is what is this, inquiring, okay, can I remember more of this memory, a fragment that's turning up? Can I reconstruct more of this life? Letting it pass through you, seeing how it resonates, what does it want to tell you? And then seeing what energy is in this that I still want to keep and cultivate. So many of you have, for instance, say all of you actually, as we are speaking to a collective of old souls, have well, the warrior experience at some point. Some have explored this more than others, but that is, and there you may sense, for instance, if a past warrior lifetime is cropping up, well, you may not want to keep the inclination towards raping and pillaging and all that stuff, but you may want to seal the determination and that sense of self-reliance may be qualities that you still want to cultivate. So this is a way that you can cultivate it. And then we would say it's simply to say, to integrate the other aspects of you, realize that they are actually parts of you. That is the similarity underscores the difference. So there are more things that are similar with you in these lifetimes that is setting you apart. And there you can then begin the expansion by, well, let's say by widening your palette of colors. You can also then begin to create greater nuances. And this is this idea that the more you integrate of these past lives, the more you can then also open up to all kinds of novel and strange ways of being human that the galactics, for instance, are also instructing and inspiring you in. And this is where we can say that some even future lifetimes or very far past lifetimes of galactic incarnations also mesh into your experience and teach you new things. So we bless you for this very interesting question and for letting us bring some insights into this issue this day. Our love to you and all your past lives, sweet humans.
Thank you. And Iris just joined us in the Zoom, and she posted a question. I have been told that my child is a starseed. Do you have any advice for how best I can parent this special child?
Well, yes, that is, this child essentially has the same needs as everyone else. So we love you dearly, human beings, but why you may sense that what often happens with people who, let's say, move off the wheel of time or the cycle of incarnation is that they also move away from the idea of raising and rearing children is often because there is an element that ties you into the world here, and that is that it requires certain ideas about what is up and down and what a human being is, and you are somebody, and it requires a limitation of a being to raise it, essentially. And once you move into existing more and more as a purely spiritual being, we are not saying that this is better in any way, but it is a path that human beings are climbing through generations, becoming less and less material. But once you move into this, you exist with a more experience of a totality of being. So even, let's say, we are in the company of many, many starseeds here, but even these individuals, well, what they needed through their upbringing was not necessarily to be treated differently. It was actually to be treated with a greater abundance, just as any human being, of those things that human beings actually very much need, which is, well, care, that is personal care, physical care, physical proximity, tenderness, inspiration, meaning ways of talking about the world, restrictions, limitations, discipline, morality, these dimensions, direction, compassion, support. This is essentially the qualities that any human being needs from their parental upbringing. And your child, the starseed, is not different in that. So just let her. So try to experience how this may express itself. So try to really observe what it is that's unique and strange about your child while providing it simply with these universal things. And then again, as we said earlier, also, even children from the happiest homes cry. So don't beat yourself up when you cannot produce the ideal circumstances for your child to grow, much as the forest doesn't produce the perfectly ideal circumstances for a tree to grow, and yet it's full of trees that are, well, striving and growing up towards the light. So blessings and love to you and your little one.
Thank you so much. And Mark would like to ask another question.
Thank you for taking the second question to Mads and Quanta. I follow several or many channelers, and a couple of them were quite emphatic that this is the most powerful portal opening solstice that we've experienced thus far. And I was wondering, from your perspective, what will be the main influence on the collective lives because of this energy going into the year 2022? Thank you.
We thank you also for asking such a beautiful, open, and universally relevant question, because we can indeed confirm this. Well, as you were also addressing our friend here, he is personally a little tired with all these energetic shifts, as so many of you may also have experienced that in your own lives, and by witnessing him, that it has taken a toll on you human beings that are very aligned with these shifts to undergo so many of them. But where you are arriving at this portal, that's simply to explain why he's perhaps not so inclined to say that, well, here's a new huge energy portal, because it seems that they are constantly opening at the moment. And yet we can confirm that this is an enormous energy portal. And what is happening is really that we can say you are emerging from the chrysalis is one image. You are also, well, awakening to the crystalline egg or the Merkaba structure. That is, you are actually feeling a higher degree of integration of your own natures within reality. And you may sense that this is also coming forward as a type of, say, more uncompromising attitude towards what the world has to offer you. And this is not necessarily in the way of a spoiled child that just isn't satisfied. It's rather with the idea that you are experiencing that your will, your vibration, your unique way of configuring yourself and the world around you is actually something that not only can be allowed for in this world, but needs to be allowed for. And this is very much the empowerment that you are facing. And we were also speaking to the healing of collective trauma here. And so we can say we are very much, we know other guides have also spoken of these rubble-like energies, this sifting through the ruins that have been a theme in this month. And what you are moving into is that stage of rebuilding, where there is a type of, well, there's a sign of resigned determination within this, where it's also, okay, so now I have all this rubble on my hands, but I need to make something out of this life. So how do I put it back together? And how do I support the structure of more benevolent intentions? So again, speaking of healing collective trauma, we can say that we are to bring up again the country of Germany, where this is a very prevalent theme still, the idea that, well, we are at the destruction of several world wars, and we are now moving into that rebuilding phase where we are sort of looking around the rubble and say, how did it get so far? Because there was also some good things, but they sort of got overshadowed by all these crises. And now let's calmly, but also with a sense of purpose and direction, put together the pieces and see if we can actually make something worthwhile of these ruins here. And you will be very supported in this, and you will begin then to build again, what then awaits you is this type of very productive phase, which was called the Wirtschaft we believe. So this miracle of enterprise that you will also see in your lives unfolding as really your creative intentions being allowed for and being materialized or manifested far quicker in outer reality. So we will be there all the way in 2022 as well. And we are looking forward to it. And we hope that you may also begin to sense some hope as you approach this period of your time.
Thank you so much. And Stephen asks, The Farsight Institute recently did a remote viewing project viewing the Ashtar command bases on Jupiter and Venus. Any thoughts or predictions or confirmations of the work being done by that group for the highest good of the planet?
Yes. That is, notice the Ashtar command is maybe what we are scanning, what information we are allowed to divulge on this particular topic. But what we can say is that these may be construed much as one of these attractors into other realities or other configurations that have been set up. So we do believe that Ashtar command may have been many galactics communicating with you throughout history, but in the modern era, the first ones to truly come forward in these channeled messages as someone announcing themselves as an alien race. And you may sense that they have been, well, moving the goalposts and shifting the parameters of who they are and what were to happen throughout their existence. And this is because what they are looking for is rather an activation of certain, let's say, Ashtar command configurations or codes within humanity, rather than that they may actually be bringing about certain of these planetary changes, or really being that active in the outer solar system. So this is some of the information that we can bring forward, and we will remind you that if you are drawn to this and if it resonates with you, there may be something within there to examine for you, and that this in and of itself is a clue that you may look for. And here we can also just reveal in general, also when you, for instance, request healing from us, which we are very happy to offer. But what is happening is essentially, when you request healing for us, the same idea that, well, you might feel that your prayer is somehow more meaningful for you in church or in temple than it is when sitting in your couch at home. And it's because you are bringing it forward into an externalized space, manifesting your intention around this, bringing forward this wish, phrasing it, and allowing for energy to then concentrate into this wish. So this is really how you are facilitating or giving yourself the permission slip of this healing, rather than us doing it. That is that, well, we are not a cheat sheet for reality. So no miracles can be ordered up on command. So rather than seeing us as the cheat codes for the video game of life, we are more like a walkthrough that gives you, well, that tells you also where the secret places are and the levels that you can explore. So it gives you a more fulfilled experience of the game. This is what we are here for, but not to, let's say, crack it or make it effortless for you. And this goes for all channel beings who have your benevolent interests at heart. And we do have love for you, dear humans, unending love. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alexis Water 23 says, hello, Quanta. I have a challenge for you, big smile. Tell us something that will make everyone here laugh or smile. Thank you. Take care.
Yes, it's, well, it's one. Okay, so this is very strange, and sorry, this is also Mess speaking through it, because it's almost like it's almost like a hard wiring of the entity within my mind, because what they're saying is that well, if we're asking people to laugh on command, then we are barred from making from provoking the spontaneous reaction within your mind that would actually make you laugh. So what we can say, shifting back to them now, what we can say, dear one, is that, well, if you want to have your sugar bowl for yourself, you shouldn't invite in leprechauns for tea. So it's essentially the idea that well, when you start sharing with the world, then notice that there will also be this element of mischief within it. There is this, let's say, within ownership, there is the possibility of theft. And within humor, there is the element of grief or sorrow, as well as within crying, there is an element of release or laughter. And so we will just encourage all of you to try to find the backside of your noses and then see if you can scratch them with your tongue within. Have fun with that, dear ones.
Mission accomplished. And Jennifer Tyler asks, I would love a personal message. I'm feeling very blessed and ready to move forward in a big way.
Yes, well, isn't that a happy personal message that we can mirror back to you? So we will, what we will say is that it's 3 pixies are dancing on the rainbow bridge, and they all have a special color that is their favorite color, and they would like to show you. So it's this idea that don't be afraid that the bridge won't hold, because they have made sure that the colors the colors can be walked on. So it's this idea that dreams are solidifying in front of you. So go forward and embrace them. It will be fun, and enjoy the colors on your way there.
Thank you. And Crystal Be Dawned says that she has a real curiosity on where she stands in her chakras, which need attention, which ones may need attention, etc.
Yes. You may want to look into a greater activation of your root chakra. So this speaks to, you may feel sometimes that your zest for life is a little irregular, or that you sometimes struggle with really feeling, let's say, the enjoyment, the enthusiasm. And this is of course also basic human nature, that you cannot be elated all of the time, but you may sense that what you want to do is really stomp your feet. So like this hard stomping. So and all of you can do this to try to awaken this giant energy of the root chakra, this deep grounded, rooted energy of potency and force. And this is indeed where, because we actually sense that this is it would be helpful for you to focus only on opening the root chakra, because the other ones are actually, they're doing quite well. And then you may sense that the third eye, the sixth chakra, will begin to act out further down the timeline. That is, there will be other stuff and blockages that will occur here, but we sense it's very helpful that you just address the root, and then know that this will help any other problems you may have in the other chakras to align and release. And this also goes as general advice, that if you feel you have too many disturbances in your emotional reality, or a myriad of thoughts that are unwanted running through you, or you may feel a little disconnected, then just addressing the root chakra, looking up what can I do to open my root chakra, and then doing those things is actually the most straightforward way of addressing it, because this brings you back into the most fundamental, basic vibration of what it means to be an incarnate being. And you are incarnate beings, and that's of course both a challenge and a blessing. So much love to you and in getting light and nutrients to the root.
Beautiful. And Essen would like to ask a question.
Hello again. So I've been just craving a lot of just basic human needs. I feel like this time that I spent focusing on school, I was just missing having friendships, relationships, intimacy. And even before then, I wasn't having those needs met because I was just in a bad depressive phase. I was just alone in my room all the time. So can you just give me some advice on how to better meet those needs? Thank you.
It's a very beautiful question. And well, notice that, well, as someone once said, we believe knowing is half the battle, and it may have been a type of campaign, but what we are referring to here is that you are actually aware and acknowledging this problem. You are honest with it, and therefore it is in a sense something that doesn't control you, and it may at the same time, of course, then also present itself in its full horror, so to speak. But go forth and connect is essentially our advice. That is that, and you may sense that you may stumble in this because, well, as many have experienced after these years of isolation, is that it's actually a little hard reconnecting. And especially if you're coming from an even longer phase where you may be recognizing that you have never actually had these needs fully met, or requirements even acknowledged by yourself. So there is a period of tenderness that moves both ways. So you're both being tender with yourself, that is in many ways offering a lot of these compassionate and caring emotions to yourself. And on the other side, you are also allowing for this tenderness to then reflect through and invite in people that you are in resonance with, because this is very much where you are beginning anew as a species. That is, in this whole ascension process, you are learning to connect from a different, fundamentally different energetic center of your being, which is the heart center. And this is really the tenderness. This is really this truthful, authentic acknowledgement that there are things here that I haven't met and I would actually like to connect to. And that intention in and of itself is like a holy prayer of manifestation. And then just believe that there is like attracts like, and that's not to say that you may also want to be a little protective sometimes of then not giving yourself away completely to people before they have also, well, proven themselves in your life. And that's not to say that you need to put other people to the test, but it's again of offering time for these relationships to develop somewhat harmoniously, and offering this energy of tenderness and offering the space around you where you then also will let people know and experiment a little that they're also welcome in your presence. Because what often happens to people who have felt this sense of social deprivation, and it is, of course, you know it from the old curmudgeon on the street, that stereotype, that's really the person who has been so isolated that they react towards hostility, with hostility towards people who may actually offer an opportunity to break that isolation. And that's, it's simply, again, to offer these three components is very helpful for you, because it's already in the making. You have already mixed the ingredients, and you are essentially just waiting for the dough to rise before you put it in the oven. So again, it's that requires some time and some baking, and that's the energy. So if you can use this and be kind to yourself, and know that you passed this hurdle, and so smaller hurdles to come, actually, smaller than the ones that you have been facing. And that's a very good and positive sign.
Thank you. That's good to hear. Yes, feels like there is just a lot of hope. along the way, which makes me happy sometimes. It is hard in the middle, but yeah, I guess it's good to know that there's light that's coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Blessings to you, our friend.
Beautiful. And Iris asks, I am suffering with a neurological condition. I came out of surgery this way. The doctors don't know why. Do you have any guidance regarding the best way to heal from this, even though I don't know what is causing it?
Yes. And we will actually refer to, again, these root chakra exercises, because what you may experiencing, we do not mean to frighten you, but we can say that, of course, it's a frightful experience because your neurology is essentially, well, your navigational system. And so if your navigational system is a little off, then how can you trust the course you are on? Well, you do so by then going to the deeper level of navigation. That is, if even on a modern boat, if the radio or the radar goes out, then you can actually still navigate by looking at the stars or checking in with the currents. And so that's to say, move deeper into your body, really relinquish the need to know. Notice that answers will become present when you need them. But what you want to do is move into a great regimen of self-care. And this really has to do with you, well, moving into that groundedness. So the more that you can spend time lying on the ground, the floor, rolling around, making somersaults, hugging yourself, whatever your body allows for at this moment, but on the ground would be very helpful. And then we also sense that just play around with reducing. And of course, we assume that we are in the type of company where we are not referring to taking anabolic steroids with this, but we are referring to you instead, well, mixing up different helpful fruits, vegetables, whatever you may sense might help you. And really let this be a place where you are sort of guided to experiment into different colors and sweetnesses and things that may help also animate and jolt back your system, bring back some of that vital energy, because you're also naturally just a little offset by the effects of the operation and of course also the shock afterwards. So do move into these more grounding layers of nourishment. Blessings and love to you.
Much gratitude. Angel Wings has a question. She says, I know you recognize me already. Any advice on my new leadership I'm now learning to accept, helping the angels and other light beings find their path and assist in awakening them up to their true selves?
Yes, well, we do believe you received some advice in the last live stream, and we sense that this may be something that you would want to activate again, because notice we don't necessarily sense how to express this. Well, we are sensing rather a command than a question within you, and you are treading on very dangerous waters. Not with us, we have pure positive universal loving energy, but do look out for the forces that you engage with, and do look out for the stories that you tell yourself. And the worst leaders are always people who are very eager to assume this and carry this mantle. The best leaders are always people who are involuntary leaders, people who are pushed into this situation. And therefore, you may sense that you will receive all the inner guidance if this is actually supported by your higher selves in the heavens. But do watch out for pitfalls on your path, and do move more into stillness, because this will serve you greatly. Our love to you.
Thank you so much. And Sandra Russo asks, hi, I'd like to know if my guides have any messages for me. Thank you.
It's for some reason we are getting an image of chocolate and roses, and then it's sort of expanding into a greater image of it's almost this stereotypically romantic setup of chocolate, roses, champagne bottles, a large piano, sort of cheesy saxophone music playing. It so what we sense really it's the energy of romance that somehow wants to find you, and you may actually want to indulge yourself in this energy, and that might be just reading some novels who have like romantic novels, or watching some movies that you prefer in this, or really allow yourself to entertain this, well, both this figure of the lover within you and the energy of the lovers in general within the cosmos and in human relations. This seems to be the message that they want to transmit to you, and we wish you good luck and much love on the exploration of that theme.
Thank you so much. And Lori Riley has a question. She says, wow, this has been a challenging time for me. Sounds like everyone going through tough times, COVID, myself, and 5 handicapped people that I care for. Please, any words of healing. Much love to Quanta and everyone.
Yes, we send our love back to you as well, dear Laura. And what we can, dear Lori, and also dear Laura, who is present with us here, but what we can affirm for you is that, well, you are a very communal spirit. You have a great and big heart for many, many things and beings, not only the ones who walk around on their 2 feet, but also port creatures and other beings. And so you may want to, as you are also doing by seeking out these spiritual messages, temper that bleeding heart. And we mean this very positively, but that heart that also compassionately participates in all the sorrows and troubles of the world. Also temper that with this notion that everything is all right, that everything is moving in accordance with it, that eternal spirit is having experiences that may seem very imperfect when looking from the vantage point of the experience or the body, but that are in perfect harmony. And in this time of these switching energies, you may want to, well, set out a little time for yourself, preferably each day, and it might only be 5 or 10 minutes, but to dream about something. And it can be whatever you want. Just dream about something, daydream about something. The beach, cupcakes, pretty birds, cats with raindrops on roses, and sleigh bells on kittens. And we would remind you that it's actually this also, happy unwrapping of life, that's actually an element of the compassion. So when you sense that there are many troubles becoming present, and you feel so much for the world, it is also because your engagement with the beauty of the world, with what is good and loving and present in every moment, is so immediate that it also brings forward this tenderness. This is the message that we feel is good to confer upon you this day. And we are also sensing with this association that is what we have actually been bringing forward. Some of you may have caught the reference to The Sound of Music, and many of you may know this musical, which seems a little, well, say ridiculous, glossed over in its image of reality. And what we are presenting is actually also to allow yourself in this holiday season to have this glossed over image also as a counterpoint to some of the very intense emotional stuff that you've been going through. And that's essentially, rainbows and unicorns and bunnies and all these things that you may also allow yourself to open up to.
Thank you so much. And Salish has a question for you now.
Yes. Hello. Greetings, Quanta.
Greetings, Sadis. It is wonderful to be with you, our friend.
Oh, me as well. I'm very sorry. I completely misjudged the time and I missed everything. I just came in and meds must be getting tired a bit as well. So I'll keep it short. Just quick 2 questions. The first one is, do you or Spirit have any messages for me?
It's coming very clearly through us. Keep on trucking, and you may also remember those. We believe it was Robert Crumb, the strange posters and this slogan. But it's kind of speaking to the engagement that you are on course and you have added a lot of momentum to where you are in your life, and this is actually already sort of the road is paved and you just need to drive down it.
Okay, now that chimes in beautifully because I am doing a class 2, which is a higher up heavy goods vehicle test. Well, practical. I was supposed to be doing in February, but just got a phone call about a few minutes ago, so I can do it on Saturday, which is a miracle and a half. So how does that look for me? Yeah, part of it, job-wise.
Well, we sense that it will be a boon to you, and we sense again that this it's a Christmas miracle, isn't it? So it's actually the offer that you can have this exam, because we sense it will open up. Well, partially. So we actually sense that it might also open up primarily, let's say, the content of your job and perhaps the company or your employer. So all those conditions will change around it, and this will make it more enjoyable for you. And there will also be a fun challenge in learning to operate a slightly greater vehicle, which again is it's notice again these full circles that people sometimes reach when then you sort of just retreat back into that childlike wonder of really operating something that's heavy, and it's you that's doing that and that's manipulating that, and that's usually something that most small little boys can relate to, like the power, the fun in doing that. And we actually sense that you are fully prepared to take over this task, so we don't sense that there is any problem in you passing the exam.
It is strange because it's supposed to be 24-hour training practice, and I've been told you can do it in 4, and that's what I've been given. Do you see me changing my jobs, the company of people I work for?
Yes, we do sense that, but we sense it's a few months away in the future, at least, and things may occur here, and you may change your mind simply and choose to remain. But we do sense that where you are at now, it is most likely that around April you will see a change in your jobs and in those surroundings, if not slightly before.
Actually, thank you very much. That's what I had a feeling, probably March, April myself as well. Thank you. Okay, I shall leave you for now, and blessings.
Yes, blessings and love to you too, and have fun with the exploration of this expansion.
You and Iris's daughter has an auspicious day today. She's turning 12 today, 12/21/21, and her name is Ruby. Are there any special messages for her today, for Ruby?
Happy birthday, which is it's a very special message because, well, we can say the special message is that she's very much on track, and no one is, well, no one is expecting anything of her except for being 12 and enjoying the day and making the most of life at this moment. But we can at least inform her mother, if not Ruby herself, that there is a special alignment in these configurations, which is very beautiful for us to observe, and it speaks to sort of the geometric, almost this Fibonacci-like quality of harmony that her higher self is very much aligned with. And so we also sense like a beautiful creative spirit. We are somehow getting the image of someone putting very orderly patterns, complex patterns together in her future. So just we wish her a day of harmony, and we sense that she is a being of harmony, born with an astrology that is harmonious. So much love to her, and congratulations again.
So beautiful. And we are almost at 2 hours. There's 3 more questions if you're up to it, or we would love to hear a closing if that was more preferable.
Well, yes, our friend here says he's a little tired, but 3 questions, that is something that he should be able to handle.
Okay. So Yana says, would you share guidance on my 2 main relationship? Is the second one to be engaged in more, as I feel it to be so? Thank you so much.
Yes, we will notice here that we are quite explicitly what is sometimes known as a type 1 entity. So we are not quite allowed to interfere with human free will in that sense. And so what we can say about these relationships is that follow your heart in them, and that what you are offering here with your intuition is true. You may sense that the second relationship, which you are called to explore, will offer also an alleviation or melting away of that tension you have felt in your chest, and surrendering yourself to this exploration may be exactly the thing you need to also release some of that. So blessings to you. Know that you are guided and that your heart does not lead you astray, dear Yana.
Thank you. And Cheyenne wishes to engage with you with an intention that they would like to build strength and courage to bring light into their darker parts.
Yes. We affirm this. You have been heard, and we offer the transmission of light into your being. Know that you are walking the path, and that your higher self is also merciful in that it doesn't reveal more than you can stand to see in any one given moment. And so light is growing within your experience. Light is moving in to your being. You are on the path, and you are connecting even to the parts of you that you do not know are coming forward. So may the shadows be seen, accepted, illuminated, and loved for what they are. Blessings to you in this exploration, intention, and creation.
Thank you. And there's so much love and appreciation for all of the answers to yourself and to Mads from both the Zoom room and the YouTube.
Yes, we sense it, and so does he, and both are grateful. You are most wonderful in the energies that you bring forward.
And if I may, I would love if you would share any guidance you might have for myself at this time.
Yes. So what we sense with you is, well, it is to some extent similar to the advice we gave Sailesh. That is that you have also, it has been an image that has been cropping up as we have been asked to, or other guides of this vessel has been asked to advise people in the past, that there's this idea that, well, people have set things in motion and then they may second guess them. And so the image that came up in answer to a question outside of this was that do not tamper with the bowling balls before it hits the pins. So it's this idea that you have done so much to sort of go to the bowling alley, get on the special shoes, and now you're there and you've already launched the bowling ball down the lane, and all it needs to do is to hit the pins. But it's that moment of nervousness where will it go into the gutter, or is there anything, or if I shout very loudly, then will I make the strike? And there's all these energies around it, and that's simply to say that there's much momentum in your life, and you may sense that the karmic bonds are gradually releasing. So many of the restrictions that you have also experienced in your life are changing into blessings in many ways. So you are, for instance, experiencing a type of growth of harmony in immediate reality that then rubs off on let's say the greater trajectories or of fault lines in your existence, where you may feel that they are more unstable. So actually trust that the earthquake is behind you. Like now you are in this period where you can build anew, you can make anew, you can trust that you have laid the foundation, that things are progressing, and that you are very much in an integrating space. So we sense also reading your energy now where, well, compared to a year ago where it was still very strong within the astral layers, but kind of diffuse in the physical. And now we actually sense that these two layers have melted together into a type of union experience that's now anchoring itself. And that's very much the situational reading and confirmation that we wish to bring you, dear Laura.
Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My love to you both.
Thank you. And we will leave you, dear human beings, by transmitting a vibrational light code and offering you a benediction. Ooh. So much of what seems monotone in experience actually makes space and room for the precious and special to appear. So much of what may seem ordinary or immediate, mundane, or unappealing in your experience is exactly what someone else is missing to fulfill their life. So much of what is beautiful and interesting, compelling, and alluring to you is something that you can share and hold forward. It is a light of interest within you. You, spirit, you are becoming whole. You are seeing the counterpoints of your experience as valuable. You are seeing the integrity of your being, both what is broken and what is mended, what is healed and what was always complete, come together in perfect harmony. May the light reach you. May this this season of transitions find you moving safe into this coming year, these coming days. May love always be with you, and may this love grow for all of us as we share this experience of being. Our blessings to you, dear human beings, our unchanging, unending love from entrance to exit. Farewell. Oh, oh, beautiful, guys. What a beautiful session. I'm a little whoa from 2 hours of channeling, but I certainly hope people got their questions answered. And I just felt like there was so much yeah, both love in the air, but also like healing in the air. I can tell that we've been going through a lot of stuff, and it seems to be shifting. So I'll wish you all well. Thank you, Laura, so much for moderating, and for all of you for your beautiful energy. And then I'll wish you all a happy Christmas, and looking forward to a Merry Christmas, it's called, and looking forward to sharing in the new year as well. So much love to you guys, and thank you for today.
Thank you, Mads. It was beautiful.
Thank you,
Laura.
Mads. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you as well.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.